Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Candy Cane Lane, starring Eddie Murphy, Tracy Ellis Ross, Jillian Bell, and David Alan Grier, directed by Reginald Hudlin. Now, before I get into this, Reginald Hudlin and Eddie Murphy have worked in a movie that, before they did this one, in a movie I personally have never seen called Boomerang. And I know Reginald Hudlin from the Thurgood Marshall biopic that I did for Chadwick Boseman reasons, because he just died during that time when I reviewed it then. And let's. But, anyways, the point is that I'm doing this for holiday reasons, as it's on Amazon Prime Video. And before you watch the movie, before you watch the video that you're about to see here, you should probably hit stop because this thing's gonna have spoilers like Yoshi's Bananas. So let's get into the movie. It's Christmas time, and Chris Carver, played by Eddie Murphy's neighborhood, had as a candy cane lane every single year as a competition, and his decorations are not first place worthy, while his neighbor Bruce has a bunch of blow ups on his yard, which looks show offish, while Chris met his wife Carol, played by Tracy Ellis Ross, at a school called USC, while his older daughter Joy doesn't want to go to USC like her parents did, and their son Nick focuses on music more than math, as their youngest Holly is more innocent. And this family are not the best characters and feels like very much like an Eddie Murphy comedy that I've seen in the last 20 years, which is super unfortunate. While he gets laid off from his job, while Carol is a factory worker and trying to get a manager position. And this opening 8 minutes is very typical Eddie Murphy comedy, like I said, for the last 20 years. And how many of them have I seen? Unfortunately, all of them, as this is not very original. Chris tells Carol about his job and decides to not tell the kids before going to a Christmas party with their neighbor Bruce. And we see the neighborhood news with a couple of pointless anchors. And I get the impression one of them doesn't know how to do the job, while one of them's like a professional, to the point she got really annoying. While the news explains if they have the best set of decorations, they'll win $100,000, as the actors come off like no fun, and the acting in this is painfully bad. Chris gets Holly to go with him to get some Christmas decorations, and are having no luck until they go to a shop owned by Pepper, played by Jillian Bell, whom I've seen in a couple of Paul Thomas Anderson films, to 22 Jump Street, and a couple of family films like Goosebumps and the Angry Birds movie. And unfortunately, I just find her very annoying. And not just in this movie, but in general. I'm just not a fan of hers in general. And they get some Christmas decorations from her store, while some little creatures will warn him not to sign the receipt, as he's going to be one of those creatures. Or Christmas ornaments, let's call them at best. Well, I'll get there later. But these first 20 minutes are just painful to watch. They rub apart like it's a magic lamp, and the decorations set themselves up, which doesn't make any sense at all. And it makes no sense for decorations to set itself up. It would take a miracle. One of the anchor's nephews, Josh, who is played by an actor named D.C. Young Fly. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Please forgive me if I said that wrong. That, I swear, has the personality of Kevin Hart. And I thought that was him. I thought that was him when I first saw this. But nope, it's D.C. Young Fly, whom I don't really know him. But he hosts the Candy Cane Lane Parade. And at first, Christmas lights don't go on. But when Chris turns them on, it lights up to the sky, and it's not the best big decoration house, but I like it for the Christmas spirit. Don't get me wrong on that. Chris's decorations are stolen while there's swans in the backyard, and he's led to believe his neighbor stole his decorations like they're the Grinch. And Carol sees seagulls taking a poop like eggs on Carol, while Chris and Holly go back to the store to talk with Pepper and wants the same ornaments he bought the day before, or the same decorations, let's say, and sees some tiny people that are Christmas ornaments, and the effects on the tiny villagers look so bad. And I get the impression Pepper is evil, as she's an evil elf, of Santa Claus's, and she was his favorite and demoted Pepper, so she quits on him and tries to get back on him, and they have to find 5 golden rings for the villagers to turn to humans again. And this plot makes no sense whatsoever. While 2 of the birds get the first of the 5 gold coins, and they turn into Christmas decorations, and that sounds like a ridiculous plot. Carol gets the meeting of a lifetime with some board members as she will be promoted manager if this turns out successful. While she sees some chickens with the second gold ring, and the meeting comes off weird as she goes in a box and there's chickens all over the place thanks to Pepper, and this scene is absolutely embarrassing. And this should be an embarrassment for director Reginald Hudlin, as like I said before, he made a good Thurgood Marshall film, but has directed Eddie Murphy before in Boomerang, which still to this day, like I said, I've never seen that film. Chris and Holly tried to get some answers from the decorations, as when he signed the receipt, he signed for himself, turning into a Christmas ornament. Like the others, like Pip, Lamplight Gary, and Cordelia, and Chris and Holly take their ornament house to their home, while Pepper sees they've stolen it, and this is not smartly written, and it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Chris and Holly introduce the Christmas ornaments to Carol, Nick, and Joy, and they freak out at first, but they eventually get to the plot details, and they get used to it, and if it were me, I would get out of there in general. They look really bad as they were freaking me out. While Gary spies on them briefly as they were about to kiss, and he ruined it as he ruins this movie, while Holly takes Pip outside for a walk and mails a letter to Santa Claus. And I don't care for this movie at this point, which is what's so unfortunate. Pepper tries to find the ornaments in their house while they go to Joy's track meeting, while Pepper messes with them and Nick runs away. And once he sees his math teacher, while he tries to go in the music room and blast his own mixed music into the stadium during Joy's time to run track, and the math teacher tells Carol he's failing math, and Nick gets milked by Pepper while Joy tries to go after a gold ring, and Chris fights off some decorations while Carol mouths off against the math teacher, and she stops the runner from getting away from Joy, and he flips while Joy grabs the gold ring, and Nick grabs one as well while Nick was milked, and Joy and Nick get in trouble for not telling their parents about what they want while the parents don't listen. That's true in general, I'll say. And I can't believe this movie that went that route, as it's painful to watch it in movies, I'll say. They discover as a family they need the last gold ring as Pepper has it, and they make a plan to grab Pepper, and nighttime comes, and while Holly is one of the chorus girls as an angel, and the anchors say it's not $1,000 they'll win, but it's $1,000 worth of tacos, which seems like a bad idea to begin with, and I can't believe what I'm sitting through it's painful to sit through. I'm not even gonna lie. Even for a Christmas movie, I'm a little shocked. Pepper walks right into their trap, and Chris grabs the last golden ring, and Santa Claus, played by David Alan Grier, whom I don't know, as he's going to be in the remake of The Color Purple that I'm not planning on reviewing unless it's up for a Best Picture nomination. But he comes off in like the song The 12 Days of Christmas, and all they have to get is now 40 golden rings, which is a bad way to extend the movie. And honestly, this movie's too long at 2 hours. Pepper shows Santa the receipt, and as her plot works, she kicked Santa in the leg, which is absolutely unnecessary. Santa and Chris fights back against Pepper, and the whole neighborhood runs away, and Pepper switches the time to 7:59 p.m., as he's supposed to turn by 8 o'clock p.m., as they still have 5 minutes left, and they grab the gold rings left to right as they grab 38 as Chris turns into a Christmas ornament briefly, And as they grab the rings, the bad guys turn into Christmas decorations, and Pepper almost wins, and the family cries for Chris. They realize their parents had their wedding rings, as it turns out, they have 40 rings, and they end up winning the battle. And Chris turns back into human, and Holly wishes for the other Christmas ornaments to be human because of the letter that she sent to Santa Claus earlier in the movie. That and they do turn her human again, and Santa gets Pepper back to the North Pole, bringing Gary, Cordelia, and Pip with him, as Pip doesn't have any family. So on Christmas Day, Pip comes to their house on Christmas morning to spend Christmas with them, while what's her name, Carol, gets the promotion. And the movie ends with Carol, like I said, getting the promotion she asked for since the beginning of the movie, and 1 week later, Pepper getting what she deserved by turning into a Christmas ornament, while the Christmas shop is being owned by Chris. And credits roll with bloopers, which didn't end up too funny, nor the entire movie, as this climax was all over the place. And at the end of the day, it was unfortunately a bad Christmas movie, and I feel bad about that. Honestly, I really do. Now it's time for my rating. I'll give this movie a 2.7 out of 10. This feels like every single Eddie Murphy movie I've seen for the last 20 years, as it was that predictable, and the characters are no fun, and the acting in this is very bad. The special effects look really bad, to the point it was freaking me out, as this is an embarrassment for director Reginald Hudlin, as well as Eddie Murphy, and it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. I can't believe Eddie Murphy made this 40 years later after Trading Places, as that was a much better Christmas movie than this pile of dump, as this was painful to watch from start to finish, as it was also painful to sit through. And this is a solid non-recommendation for the holidays. And if it were me, I recommend two things. If you're need a Christmas movie, go watch Elf or something. Anything but this. And if you would like to watch a Christmas Eddie Murphy film, I would go back to Trading Places as far as I'm concerned. Skip this thing entirely. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me for this, and until next year, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.